call to order the Sparks City Council meeting for Monday, December 11th with a roll call.
Mayor Lawson?
Here.
Council members Abbott?
Here.
Vanderwell? Here. Anderson?
Here.
Bybee?
Here.
Dare?
Here.
City Attorney Duncan? Here. Acting City Manager Crawford?
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Thank you. And for invocation, we have Rabbi Levi Sputz of the Chabad Learning Center, Northern Nevada. Did I say that correctly?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the community. Thank you for having me. Today is the fourth day of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. Hanukkah commemorates the miracle in the 2nd century BCE when the Syrian Greeks were in control of the Holy Land and they tried to force the Jewish people to abandon their tradition and their religion. And a brave group of brothers, the Maccabees, fought back and fought for their rights and their religion and succeeded. When they reclaimed control of the Holy Temple, they tried to light the menorah, but unfortunately they did not find enough oil to light the menorah for enough time. They only found one small jug of oil, enough for one day. But a miracle occurred, and that one jug of oil lasted for all 8 days that they needed. In commemoration of that, Jewish people celebrate every year the 8 days of Hanukkah. We light a menorah, we spend time with family. And the lighting of menorah symbolizes the triumph of justice over tyranny and the rights of the people to do and serve as they please. With that in mind, let us pray. Father in heaven, grant guidance and wisdom to those entrusted with enacting laws and policies so they be mindful of your presence in their lives and conduct their work accordingly. May this meeting be a success and may this be a successful, productive meeting. May the city of Sparks continue to stand as a beacon of liberty and freedom, a place where all individuals, irrespective of race, culture, or religion, can thrive in harmony. May all be blessed in their personal and professional lives in recognition of the communal efforts that they undertake here today. I'd like to take this, let us say amen. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you all to a public menorah lighting we're having right here in Sparks on Wednesday at 4:30 at the Marina, where we will light the menorah and spread the message of light and good here in Sparks. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rabbi. Okay, we remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Bybee, will you lead us?
Absolutely. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Public comment. Let's start off with Tammy Holstill.
Okay, face up, perfect. All righty. All right. Tammy Holstill for the record. I live in Lemon Valley. I know that it is not the city of Sparks jurisdiction. However, we are a community under Washoe County. And I know you have a board member who is on the Washoe County Health. And I am here on behalf of the Lemon Valley residents and the issues we have as a community that the health board needs to address. Let's start with when the city of Reno decided to dewater Swan Lake and pump affluent over to American Flats. You will see that the affluent, it was not grade A affluent like they said it was. It had cauliflower, E. coli, and a high concentration of pH balance. So then I decided, okay, we needed to go to where they actually picked it up at to show it was the lake. As you will find on here, this is as of the current month of our current year, 2023. I did this in June. The same out of range cauliflower, E. coli, but now there's also arsenic in that lake, besides the high pH balance. So then we go on to further extend the lack of quality of Swan Lake. We have that's the PFAS from the university doing his thesis. You can get that online. I just wanted to get you so you can see it. Also in the process of that was in testing, thesis that was done on the medical waste from the discharge of effluent that is not processed correctly into Swan Lake. As I flew over on October 21st on a commercial flight, this is what Swan Lake currently looks like. And if we have a storm of any precipitation, we are going to have a problem. And all of that effluent is going to be back in the properties of the people who flooded in 2017. This is the Washoe County Sewer Plant, which they have had to recently add more berms to. As you can see by the sewer plant, they're supposed to have 9 to 11 individual retention detention ponds. Out of those 9 or 11, you only see 5 major ones. That doesn't help with saturation and evaporation process when it's a large body of water. I have been addressing this with Congressman Amodei, which he is very aware of the situation, and he's trying to work with the city of Reno and Washoe County. And like I said, I'm here because of the Board of Health needs to get involved. We are requesting that the SWS, which is the sanitation, wastewater, and sewer, have a hearing on this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, Mark Martell.
Friday at Loma Linda University Medical Center, where he was taken for treatment of head injuries after a car crash Thursday, authorities said. Mark Markel, 24, was thrown from a 1977 Datsun as it overturned on Live Oak Canyon Road at the eastbound Interstate 10 off-ramp at 4:30 p.m., said California Highway Patrol Officer Amber Drysdale. The driver was going south on Live Oak Canyon Road when he lost control of the car, struck a curb, and skidded into the off-ramp. The vehicle rolled over several times and landed on top of Mark Markel, Drysdale said.
Hello, my name is Mark. Please don't drink and drive this holiday season. I lost my wife, the mother of my children. She had hepatitis C, which is not curable, all because I rode with a drunk driver. See, if I was there to watch over her, she did drugs, but because she couldn't handle the way I was in a wheelchair. It is no good. Anyways, please, my family life is over. Please don't let this happen to you. This is a season not to drink and drive or ride with somebody who has been drinking. It can wreck your life as it wrecked mine this holiday season. Please don't drink and drive or ride with drunk drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and that's perfect timing.
Thank you. Sorry I was late.
No worries. Mr. William Wagner. Sir William, right behind you, Bill.
Great, thank you.
There you go. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I can talk into it properly. My name is, Ed, I'm going to start from this beginning. Ed Lawson, Mayor and City Council members. For the record, my name is Bill Wagner. My subject is the pursuit between SCC versus Mike Lawson. I would like to mention that I personally believe that the two most important parts of the lawsuit are the fact that he did not say anything about his private business of selling illegal drugs, in which one of these drugs killed a professional golf football player whose name was, let me get it. Okay. Player was Oakland Raiders, Lyle Alzado. 2, Michael is still to this day lying about his agreement to resign. This is a verbal communication between him and Kay. This is why we need to have two people on these type of negotiations. What I'm asking for is pay the man what he deserves for the hours he was employed and nothing more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? If not, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the dais. I'm looking for an approval of the agenda. Mr. Anderson
Move to approve the agenda as submitted.
and Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Looking for item number 6, approval of the minutes. We need discussions on that. If not, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve the minutes of the Sparks City Council workshop for November 6, 2023, and the Sparks City Council meeting of November 20th, 2023.
Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that motion.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, it's a presentation by the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, the Children's Cabinet, and the Audi Project. A very great project. Yeah, don't get bucked off there.
I know, there's a little slope there. Good afternoon, members of the council. Nicole Lamboli, representing the Food Bank of Northern Nevada.
And Kim Young, representing the Children's Cabinet.
And together, as you know, we are the Audi Project, and we are here, one, to finalize the grant report for the $300,000 that the city graciously approved towards the purchase of the building. We closed on that building on July 31st and are now the proud owners of that wonderful parcel and the shopping center at the corner of Audi and Sullivan. And we have some exciting news to share where we are in the process. So I'll let Kim share the first bit of news.
So the first great part is that we have been able to engage an architect, and so we are beginning the design phase. So we are collectively meeting, Nicole and I are meeting along with our teams to start talking about what our staff see as some of the greatest needs so that we get that perspective of boots on the ground. And then we will be doing community meetings as well before we get too far down the design process.
And I think, for the record, Nicole Lamboli, one of the exciting things with the architect is also not only just the vacant big box, but what can we think about the whole parcel and what it can become. And we really hadn't thought about it in that fashion. So we're very excited about that vision that the architect is going to bring. So we look forward to coming back to you and having you engage in those processes as they develop over the next month. And then the other piece of news is we have secured a significant grant. It's not public yet, but it is really going to put us close to probably the halfway mark with the other funds that we have raised towards the renovations of the big box. So we are actively working with other funders and community leaders on securing the remainder of the funds. So there's been a little bit of work that's been happening over the last 3 months, but we're still very invested and excited. We drive over there and remind ourselves why we want to do this project for the community. So we are grateful to you for your support.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your support. Do you have questions?
yeah, Mr. Dare.
Yes, thank you both for your hard work and all of it. And I think, is there something coming up at all that we can come and attend? Anything we can do to come out and show support, that kind of thing?
I think for the record, Nicole Lamboli, once the architect gives us the timeline, there will certainly be community meetings, and we would love to have you participate in those and encourage members of the community to provide input. So yes, we definitely know you guys would like to remain involved, and as soon as we get through sort of the holiday season and the busy time for both our organizations, we will definitely keep you apprised of those opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This project is so exciting. It really brings everything together for this CHA is right there, Community Health Alliance, Children's Cabinet, Food Bank, workforce, childcare. So you've got everything, all the needs for those community members in one place. So couldn't be more excited about just the collaboration, which is really how we make those kinds of changes in our community, is really by collaborating with others. What would be your optimistic hope of when we think? I know I'm not going to hold you down to a date, but what is your goal of when you would like to see this open? And I apologize, I'm at the end of a throat thing, so my voice is a little deeper than normal.
I think optimistically, we would love to be able to open at least in part within 18 months. I think that's,
Okay.
we hope that's realistic.
If you ask us, we're past our due date, but
Yes.
we are also realistic because we want to do it correctly, right? We want to make sure we design it in the way that makes the most sense for the community. And we've heard tremendous support, not only from our nonprofit partners, but community leaders. So sooner the better, for sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you so much. I actually had that bill framed and the pen with Governor Lombardo and our picture. So
Fantastic.
this is a big deal for us and for you guys. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
We have another presentation by Nevada Humane Society.
Yeah.
Is it gonna?
Good afternoon. I want to thank Mayor Lawson and the council members for having me here today. My name is Geraldine Bryant, and I'm the CEO of the Nevada Humane Society. When Councilmember Anderson invited me to one of these meetings, I jumped at that chance. I have been with Nevada Humane since May. It has been a very rewarding and very intense 7 months. And I think that there is some misinformation in our community in regards to the organization and the work that we do. And I am just happy for any opportunity to come share accurate information about all of the great things that happen at our organization. There we go. So Nevada Humane Society is, what this really should say is that we are the largest high-safe shelter in Nevada. We are the second largest animal welfare organization in the entire state. And we were founded over 90 years ago. We are very proud of our life-saving rate of over 94%, and that is a pretty exceptional life-saving rate for an organization that is the surrender facility for a county this size. We take in over 10,000 animals a year and meet the needs of most all of those animals. We are funded, well, we have 2 campuses, and we'll get to that in a minute, but our Reno campus, which is our largest campus, is solely funded through donor support. We don't receive any county or city funding. And so we could not do the work we do without the generous support of donors. As I said, we have 2 campuses. One is in Reno, and we share a building with Washoe County Regional Animal Services. It is a 60,000 square foot building. Nevada Humane Society operates 58% of that, so approximately 38,000 square feet. And our other campus is in Carson City. We, sorry. As it says that our mission is to care for pets, find them homes, and save lives. We take very serious our position in the community, and
NHS supports keeping pets in their homes with the people who love them. And we have a program, a shelter diversion program that helps assist community members with all the things that they may need within reason, within our resources to be able to keep those pets in their homes. And we are committed to placing all healthy and treatable animals that come through our door into loving homes in the community. Last year, we were able to place 9,304 of those animals in our community. And again, we're very proud of that. We were able to transfer in almost 6,000 animals from Washoe County Regional Animal Services, and the remainder of those animals came in as public surrenders to us. Of those, well, I guess I should say this year, because we're almost finished with this year, through November, we have taken in through our doors 9,211 animals. Of those, 5,269 were cats, and 845 were really the most fragile in our community, and those were neonatal kittens. And then 3,588 were dogs. And then a small portion, 354, were all those other little animals, the rabbits, the guinea pigs, the chinchillas that we take in. We have a variety of programs. Nevada Humane Society is known for our adoption program. But we have other programs to support the animals in our care and those animals in our community. We have a full medical clinic. We have about 25 staff in that clinic, including 4 full-time veterinarians. We offer, as part of that shelter diversion program, a pet pantry. There are families in our community who cannot afford to feed their pets, but they love them dearly, and those pets love their family. And if it is simply a matter of providing food, we offer that 7 days a week. They can come in the shelter and receive that food. We provide support in our community to community free roaming cats and the caregivers that watch over them. And then we have a very robust foster program. This year, well, through November, we have had 2,370 animals go through our foster program. And those are foster families in our community providing that care, the roof, the TLC, the attention to those animals. Nevada Humane Society provides all of the food and medical care and any of the supplies that would be needed. We just ask people in our community to provide that temporary housing to those animals. Adoptions. That, again, is the heartbeat of really what we do. And this year, we have placed so far 8,013 animals through November. This is Bella. And Bella is just a great example of the work that we do. She is the cutest, sweetest little thing. Bella came into Washoe County Regional Animal Services on August 1st. On August 9th, well, and I should back up. So all animals that come into county or animal services have a 5-day stray hold. And after those 5 days, those animals are available to rescues and any other animal welfare organizations in the community to transfer into, because animal services doesn't adopt out, but they do transfer to other organizations. Of all the animals that are transferred out, Nevada Humane Society takes 80% of all of those animals. So Bella came in on August 1st. On August 9th, she was transferred to Nevada Humane. We noticed, well, all animals that come into Nevada Humane Society get a medical exam, but we noticed that Bella probably had some extra needs medically. So our medical department and veterinarians examined her on the same day that we transferred her over. And they determined that Bella had an issue. Bella had, I actually have the picture, but it probably is a little graphic after it was removed, so I didn't want to put it in the slides. This is a bladder stone. Bella was in incredible pain. and we don't know for how long. But when we met her, before she'd even had surgery, she was wagging her tail and asking for attention, and really just the sweetest thing. So same day that we transferred her over, she got a medical exam. The very next day, she went in for surgery, and that was removed. And 7 days later, Bella was adopted. And that is just one example of the many, many, many surgeries that we do at Nevada Humane Society that these animals otherwise would not have that opportunity for a long, healthy, happy life. Again, foster, we have very, very robust program in the community, and we welcome anyone who would like to get involved, even on a temporary basis. Please contact us. Sometimes it's just a week, or it could be longer. Sometimes we need foster care for an animal that's just recovering from surgery, just like Bella did. And then volunteering. We have a very robust volunteer program. Some people come in and walk dogs. Some socialize with the kitties. Some are helping us stuff envelopes with thank you letters to donors, answer phones, greet people that come into our facilities. Our volunteers this year have generously given our organization just over 24,000 hours of service. And then, of course, we ask anyone in our community that has the ability, please give to the organization because you're giving to the animals. And then advocate for the animals because they can't advocate for themselves. And thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council? Mr. Anderson?
Thank you very much for coming and talking to us.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the tour that you gave me of the facility. I have to tell you, if anyone goes down there, be careful. She's a wonderful salesperson. Almost left with a couple more dogs, but no, you and your staff are doing an incredible job.
Thank you.
I do want to ask a very pointed question.
Yes.
So at the last Washoe County Animal Services Advisory Board, we heard some pretty dismal numbers from Animal Services saying that Nevada Humane Society had not been very helpful this last year in receiving animals from them.
Sure.
Can you clarify a little bit on what the comparisons were and the numbers that we were seeing there?
Sure. So we have capacity restrictions, just like Animal Services does. And we try, as an organization, to not exceed an 80% capacity because otherwise it limits our ability to be flexible with our animals. Maybe if we have to move them to other areas, if we have an outbreak of parvo and we have to shut down an entire row of kennels. And then because we are the surrender agency for Washoe County, we don't know on any given day how many animals are coming through our doors. I get reports every day that on average, we could be seeing anywhere from 4 dogs to 10 plus 10 cats plus small animals, and even more if we have a family with many animals that have an emergency. So 80% is kind of the capacity that we like to run at. We do go above that, but again, just to keep to retain our ability to care for our animals properly. We transfer in, as I said, of all the animals that are transferred out of Animal Services, Nevada Humane Society takes 80% of those. But this year, our owner surrender numbers have skyrocketed. Our dog surrenders are up over 60% from the public, and cats are right in the realm of about 30%. That we are required, in our professional services agreement, the one absolute that is in there is it says we are the surrender agency and we have to take those animals. We can't turn them away. So we take all of the public surrenders and whatever space we have left, we transfer in animals from Animal Services. So it is true that our numbers from Animal Services are down this year, but it's only because our numbers for public surrenders are so astronomically higher than they were last year. And there's a variety of reasons for that, that the public surrenders animals. We're not alone in Reno or in Washoe County. We are not unique. It is a crisis in animal welfare across the entire country. Those of us that are in leadership positions are on national calls. We're part of, workshop groups trying to be innovative in our communities to mitigate the number of animals that are coming through our doors. Nevada Humane Society has a progressive program called the Animal Help Desk, which is the shelter diversion program. But we don't have the solutions for everyone in our community. If they have nowhere to live with their pets, we're limited in what we can do to help them. If it's food they need, if it's possibly medical care for their animal, we are often able to help with that, but we can't be there for every situation. And so that is the reason, simply that is the reason that we are lower in our numbers from animal services, and it's because of the public surrender animals.
Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you for asking. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you
very
again.
much.
Appreciate it.
All right, move on to 7.3, acknowledgements of the 2023 Hometown Christmas Parade winners and Grand Marshal.
Hello, Mayor Lawson, council members, how are you?
We're here. We're happy. It's not freezing cold on the back of a float. With the wind blowing 100 miles an hour.
I'm here today to present the winners of the 2023 Sparks Hometown Christmas Parade. Oops, sorry. Up first, Best Business Group, we have Thompson Garage Doors. Best Animal Group went to Perez Dancing Horses. Best Community Group was Livingstone Sparks. Best Performing Group was Danza Azteca Guadalupana. And Best Overall went to Thompson Garage Doors. Our 2023 Grand Marshal is the owner of Toll Fence, Shauna Downs. It's a Sparks business that was established in 1912. And I wanted to give a thank you to our sponsors, Northern Nevada Medical Center, Rail City Casino, and Nugget Casino Resort. And a thank you to our volunteers with Livingstone's Church, the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows, and Hot August Nights. And a special thanks to Emily Pate, Colleen Moran, Jackie Martinez, and Stephanie D'Arcy for helping with setup and check-in. And thank you to Casey Bond, Charlie Burns, and the Public Works team for building the Sparks City Council float. And a couple of them are here, Mark, if you wanted to introduce them.
Come on down.
I am here only for introductions. I take no credit for what they did. Mark Anderson, Public Works Manager. Charlie Burns was really our mastermind behind the whole thing. He came up with the idea and really was key in sourcing everything, and Jim Bass was key in helping build. We had a couple other staff members that were part of it that are either off today or had children conflict issues, so they couldn't be here. Yeah, Charlie, tell us where your inspiration came from.
I don't know if there was any inspiration. First of all, thank you guys for the opportunity to build for you guys. I apologize, it was cold and windy that day.
Well, that's on the mayor.
Yeah,
That's always my fault when the weather's bad.
The theme this year was dashing through the decades, as we all know. So trying to come up with an idea on a 24-foot by 8-foot section with the 15 or 20 of you that are on there was a challenge. So my idea was just to build houses and create decades as we went along. So 20s, 50s, and 2000s seemed to be the easiest, and to separate between decades. So that was our idea. I had the initial idea, but as Mark said, we had a lot of us that were involved in decision makings and decoratings and those sort of things. But we love it. We have a lot of fun when we're doing it. We hope you guys enjoy it. It's really just about representing the city of Sparks for you guys. So I didn't realize there were going to be so many of you. I would have maybe made a little bit more room on there for you to stand and our handholds. I heard it was maybe
The Abbott clan keeps growing.
Yeah. But we asked for next year, if we're allowed to do this again, to have maybe just a little bit more time as far as knowing what the themes are, so we could have meetings amongst everybody and get more ideas in place, so we're not struggling as much as we were. And/or have more volunteers. There really was just the 5 or 6 of us. And amongst our duties during the day, some of this was done after hours as well. Have more people run around and chase through thrift stores and those sort of things would benefit as well. So we just appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yep.
That's it from me. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Are the winners,
Are the winners
are
here?
the winners here? Are we doing plaques?
I don't think anybody's here today.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, as always, a fun time.
well, hopefully we'll do that later, because we always have them come in.
Yep. All right. Chief, you got items 7.4, 7.5, and 7.6.
Thank you, Mary. You beat me to my first request for you, just to put them all together. But
There you go. Great
Thank-
minds.
thank you. Hello, good afternoon. For the record, Chris Croftworth, your acting city manager and police chief. For you today is just announcements for quite a few committees we have. The Sparks Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. There are 4 vacancies on that committee. The committee members serve coterminous, with the appointed elected official. The vacancies include alternate committee members for wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. Members of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee must be Sparks residents, preferably over the age of 55. Applications for the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee will be accepted until Friday, December 29th, 2023. Sparks Citizen Advisory Committee, there are 4 vacancies on this as well. These committee members serve coterminous with the appointed elected official. The vacancies include alternate committee members for wards 1, 2, and 4, and a regular committee member for Ward 4. Members of the Sparks Citizen Advisory Committee must be Sparks residents. Applications for these vacancies will be accepted until Friday, December 29th, 2023. And the last, Sparks Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee, there's 1 vacancy on the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee to fill a partial term ending November 30th of 2024. This vacancy is for a performing arts representative. Members of the ACAC must be a Washoe County resident, possess a full understanding of being an arts advocate, and have 5 years or more experience as an arts advocate. Applications will be accepted until January 12th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Persons interested in serving on these committees should complete a community service application online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us/get-involved. Simply complete the volunteer application and hit submit. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to consent items. Anyone wishing to pull a consent item? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move to approve consent items 8.1 and 8.2 as submitted.
Mr. Abbott. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. 9.1, general business. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's appointments for the Sparks Planning Commission from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order: Chance Grunmeyer, Andy Moore, Kenneth Peak, Michael Rawson, Sarah Sharkey, Stephen Sperber, William Stewart, Andrew Tavener, T. Tran, and William Vernon. My 2 appointments for these, I've asked to reappoint Mike Rawson and Stephen Sperber. Any discussion? Not? I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to appoint Michael Rawson and Stephen Sperber to the Sparks Planning Commission, each for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2027.
And Mr. Anderson.
I'd like to second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 9.2, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's appointments to the Sparks Civil Service Commission from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order: Barbara Ackerman, Rick Armstrong, Douglas March, and Colleen Rosenkrantz. The mayor's chosen Doug Marsh. Any discussion from the council? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to appoint Douglas Marsh to the Sparks Civil Service Commission for a partial term ending June 30th, 2024.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. 9.3, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the Assistant City Manager's recommended appointment to the Sparks Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee from the following pool of applicants. Applicant, Ted Erkin. We've chosen Ted Erkin.
Good choice.
That's what I was thinking. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the Assistant City Manager's recommendation to appoint Ted Erkin as the residential construction representative on the Sparks Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2027.
Okay, Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Now, I see Stephen is here. Is anyone else here that we have? No, just Stephen, Doug Marsh, Ted? No? Okay. Well, Stephen, thank you for serving on the planning commission. I know it's an unthankful job at times, but we certainly need your expertise, so thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. We'll have Bill sing you happy birthday after the meeting. I hear he has a lovely singing voice. All right, 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of resolution number 3436, expressing support for preserving the railroad machine shop and erector shop building located at 599 Nugget Avenue, Sparks, Nevada. Christine.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and City Council members. For the record, I'm Allison McCormick, your Assistant City Manager. And with me today is someone who is much more knowledgeable about the machine shop buildings, Christine Johnson from the Sparks Heritage Museum. And she is going to talk to you about the resolution in support of preserving those historic buildings. And with that, I will let her take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Lawson and the City Council for allowing me to speak today. Every one of you has been supportive of the efforts of the Sparks Heritage Museum for many years, and most recently with attendance and support of our new exhibit about the mayors, and you should come down and see it. So I appreciate all of your participation and support, and because of that participation and support, and that of many people here in the audience today, I find it even more important for the museum to speak out with regard to the importance of these particular buildings in our city's community and the heritage that they speak to. So I'll just flip through a few images here and kind of give a background in case anybody here today isn't aware of the full history of these buildings. So there's some images here and just some basic facts, but I thought I'd go through it. These buildings began actually in 1903. And this is an image here of the roundhouse and other railroad buildings being built. This was originally the Southern Pacific Railroad industry that rerouted the lines out of railroad lines out of Wadsworth, which resulted in the establishment of this city here beginning in 1904. So the railroad buildings were actually, they began construction on them before the city was relocated here out of Wadsworth. And so in that way, they are the skeleton, they are the backbone of this community. Here's another interesting image. And here's an arrow of the buildings that we're speaking about today, and the roundhouse that exists on the right-hand side of the image that is no longer. That building was torn down in 1957. The buildings here are the erector shop and the machine shops. And the first building there that you see with marked by the arrow was the building as part of the original units that were built, again, beginning in 1903. And the building next to it, again, in 1944 was established. Important date in your history is July 4th, 1904. The town was born, and the original name for it was tried to be sold to this community as East Reno, and that was a big thumbs down. And then they tried to name it for the original president of the railroad at that time, which was E.H. Harriman, and he did not want the honor. And so they looked for who they could name the town for. And I'm sorry to oppose the people that perpetuate the myth that the town has its name from the sparks that are generated as the railroad passes through on the lines. It actually got its name from Governor John Sparks, who was a very well-respected and beloved governor of Nevada during that time and beyond. This is an image of a historic postcard that's a great image of people leaving work for the day out of that area. And that front gate faces Victorian Avenue, and it's the Pyramid and Victorian intersection. Again, just another overhead view. The machine shop, this is an image from around 1930 on the right, but the statistics behind the machine shop is that it's about 450 by 120 feet. It's made of steel and 3 million bricks. And this becomes important because some of the sentiments that have been expressed to us thus far from Union Pacific is, you can just move the buildings. Well, we can't. It's 3 million bricks. And when you do move a historic structure, part of the process in retaining the integrity of the historic structure is to number every single piece of the building. So I don't know that we have pens that can write that many numbers on those bricks if they were to be dissolved and reestablished somewhere else, but it's an important thing. And if you haven't been to those buildings, they are still right across the street from where the museum is, kind of kitty corner to it. It's on the other side of the freeway. The buildings are still there. The erector shop, this is a fabulous image of some of the work that went on in that building. And if you ever get the chance to go in the building, you can still smell that industry. It's got a rich heritage that lives on through just the smell of the oil and all the machinery that once occupied that space. It's an important building, again, for the legacy and the impact on the western expansion of our country and also the transportation industry throughout the western United States. This city is and has a railroad heritage. Some of the important dates here, from 1904 to 1957, it was the largest terminal on the Southern Pacific Line between Utah and California. One of the largest in the country. This was a 40-stall roundhouse, and again, that particular feature has been dismantled. Much of the materials and parts of that building were relocated to Northern California. 1957 to 1959 is when the roundhouse came down, and most of the other buildings in that center that were in the other images. Today, the machine and erecting shops are some of the last visible heritage of this city's origin stories. And the visible heritage is very important because although we do understand the need for growth and change, and every community it has to move to a more inclusive and welcoming environment for people that move in. We also like to see, especially for those of us in the historic preservation industry, we like to see that communities do harken back to their roots and celebrate that past. And especially with Sparks, it has such a unique and distinct origin versus Reno. And I like to mention here the moniker of the Rail City, something that you used to celebrate quite visibly throughout the community. The Rail City brand was adopted to remind the public of the city's heritage. This idea became really important during World War II. Military protection was deployed to protect this particular site, and it was increasingly important for the preservation and protection of resources and goods and transportation throughout the western United States during that time. A fabulous statistic here of more than 130,000 freight and passenger cars moved through those yards just in that year, 1944, which is what added to the military deployment to protect this part of the transportation system. In 1944, 1,447 employees alone living in Sparks. And you kind of juxtapose that today. Still a huge presence with Union Pacific now across the way, and they have worked very hard to kind of support the idea that they are here, they are present, they are part of our community. They've recently given the Sparks Museum a grant to continue to preserve history through digitizing the historic photograph collection, and they are very proud of this organization and their contributions to the distributions of goods and products and services throughout the Western U.S. However, we really don't want to see that progress be exemplified in the destruction of these historic buildings. Again, one of the things that people still lament, and when I tell people in the museum that these buildings came down in 1957, they can't believe it. A lot of times we have people coming in and say, no, that didn't come down that long ago. I remember those buildings. And so, or my grandfather worked there, things like this. So even though it was 1957, to some in this community, they still feel like those buildings are still there. It's kind of like when we all use invisible spaces as wayfinding things. How many of you say, go down to Park Lane and turn left, right? We still do that. We still talk about spaces that don't exist in this way, and the Roundhouse is one of those spaces. We don't want the other two buildings to become those spaces. So when I say all that remains, I'm talking about the buildings that still stand. Those buildings are today owned by the Hart family. Bob Hart is here today, and one of his sons, and they are the owners of the buildings. But the buildings are the backbone of this community, I argue. And when you see images like this, what we in the museum do is preserve that history. People come to research and reflect on what made Sparks Sparks, and have multi-generational connections to this industry. And when we see sentiments like the third paragraph here that says, it's been said that the most significant railroad buildings left on the Union Pacific line are here in Nevada, if not the whole of the Western United States, I think that's poignant. This is an overhead view of the buildings here that are in question. And Union Pacific has stated clearly that the reason that they want the buildings gone is simply and only to park trucks. And you can see that this is what's being done here. This is not the first time that the community has come forward to say, hey, we want to do something. We want to see something happen with this space, with these buildings. This is an early proposal by Mayor Armstrong that dates back to the year 2000. And he had organized, along with other people who contributed to this, even before him, with this idea, an idea to renovate this building and as a complex, including ideas for an exploration center, which would include like a visitor center component. But sadly, budget cuts, as always happens, just in time for great ideas to be thwarted. But that's predates, 2 decades ago, ideas, what could those buildings be? And when you see images that are, imaginations of what a space like this could become, you kind of look out and see what else has been done in the country with buildings like this. And we see examples of renovations and restorations in spaces like Denver and San Francisco, Salt Lake City, where they have used not just railroad buildings, but especially railroad buildings in creative ways that allow people to experience new industry, new ideas, new spaces, performance spaces, art spaces, shopping spaces in old buildings that give kind of a sense of community and passion for their history and their roots. And I like to point out your own history here. So without those buildings, I would challenge people to go to the Sparks High School and ask them why they continue to be the Sparks Railroaders. This is the last connection. You still have the Rail City Casino, you have the Sparks Railroaders, and without the visible railroad legacy, I just, again, coming at it from a historic preservation perspective, I fail to recognize how we can continue those long-lasting connections through these other monikers. So what are we doing to save the buildings? I welcome my friend Jonathan Rolling here, who has been standing alongside me as both an occupant of the building, a friend of the family that owns the building, and a concerned citizen as well. I'm sorry to speak for you, sir. I'll let you speak in a minute. But we've reached out together to Channel 4, Channel 2, Channel 8, social media, and our state and local and federal representatives for comment, for just for informational purposes, and people have jumped at the opportunity to bring this to a higher level of awareness. Joe Hart from Channel 4 in particular has done several exposés on this and has really dedicated a ton of time, and we appreciate the coverage on the other local media venues as well. And I've offered up the museum's resources and allowing the public to comment and share their opinions, because we don't have a historic commission here in the city, which concerns me, and that's a thing for another day. But on top of it, we don't have a way for the public to connect, to share in general concerns moving forward, not just for these buildings, but other buildings or spaces in your community as well. So I offered up the museum's resources with our info@sparksmuseum.org, and we started getting multitudes of responses from the community, concerned citizens, some of whom are here today, as well as the social media, both on Channel 4 and the Sparks Museum's social media venues, to the tune of hundreds and hundreds of people expressing concern. And overwhelmingly, with almost 1,000 responses between all social media and physical letters and other letters of support, I can only actively remember one comment that was not in support. All of the rest was in desperate support and in favor of retaining and preserving these buildings. I also would like to point out that we have letters of support from the organization Preserve Nevada, signed by former Governor Richard Bryan. Mark Amadei has joined the fight in asking questions, very poignant and powerful questions of Union Pacific as to why this could or should happen. We have the California State Railroad Museum in support of retaining these buildings. The Nevada State Railroad Museum has spoken out as recently as today. We are not paid to do this work. We are passionate for you and your community at the request of the community itself. So with that, I would just like to end with a picture of my building that you graciously allow me to exist in, which is on the historic record that you own, that I will continue to be concerned about as well if these other buildings come down.
Okay, questions from the council? Oh,
I don't know.
did you have something?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I thought you were just sitting there looking handsome.
He is.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Jonathan Rowling. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Bob and John Hart, who are here as well. It's been an incredible opportunity to even be involved with something like this. A very close family friend, effectively an uncle of mine, has had an association with the building through his business for the last 3 decades or so. I was initially introduced to the space in this recent iteration as a place for my band to rehearse, which was, very cool. And, since then, there's just so much potential in it. And I feel like a vision has been crystallizing as how to best utilize a resource like this, both in terms of preserving the history of it, but then also creating the future in a way that's in service of the community, and ideally just creating something great that helps better the world. And so, to be able to be a part of that and to be involved, to be invited to sit up here, be able to talk to you about this is truly an honor. So yeah, thank you again for everyone involved, and yeah, that's my spiel. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Abbott.
I definitely have to chime in on this one, because it's kind of been a project, baby of mine. So for everyone, just kind of a little background, if we don't mind. So we do have private business or private ownership of the building. The reason we are here, Union Pacific owns the land below it. It is extremely unique for that. And so that is what we are working on. There's a lot of moving parts. We're here today to get a letter of support to continue to have those conversations with Union Pacific, to hopefully be able to save part of a building, part of one building, both buildings in a perfect world. But we're trying to come together with them. We've had probably 5 meetings with Union Pacific, I think, so far. So this isn't anything new, but we've had a robust conversation with them with lots of moving parts. So we're just trying to add this hopefully this resolution to the support list. We do also, as a board member of the Sparks Museum, we have voted to say that we are supporting it as well as museum too. And so if we have a letter of that, which you guys should have, as well as I think it's in public comment too. So that's all I have, and I'm also here to help answer any questions if you guys have any.
Donald, is there still a time limit?
May 31st is the day that the lease is no longer renewed, will no longer be active. So that is at least that date. And so, you know, theoretically, there's not a date yet set for them to tear the building down. But like Christine or Ms. Johnson mentioned, they just want to store those green storage shipping containers there, which I am not excited about having as our welcoming part of our town. So.
Also, which the date has been pushed back from February to May through the combined efforts of Mr. Abbott, Ms. Christine, and Mr. Hart as well, just in terms of economically making the building still a viable entity. So,
So what are you asking for besides the resolution from us? What are we asking of the public? Or we're looking for somebody with a big wallet?
I can take a stab at that. I think a big wallet, if you own land near the railroad, please let me know, and especially if you're willing to donate that. Without throwing too many things out there, we're trying to find some land with Kinder Morgan to hopefully do a land swap. That's kind of the big deal that we're trying to get to with them. But yeah, from the public, and if they have stories too, they can email us at info@sparksmuseum.org. Yep. I'm a good board member right there. And so we're collecting stories from the public, as well as, I think building awareness no matter what, so.
and also from a letter procured by Mr. Abbott from Congressman Amade, he's asked very specific questions in regards to what operating metrics they are expecting to gain from the demolition of the building. So that information will be available and ideally useful in finding a solution that also serves Union Pacific in terms of achieving their economic goals as well.
Anything else? All right. So with that, I am looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve resolution number 3436, expressing support for preserving the railroad machine shop and erector shop buildings located at 599 Nugget Avenue, Sparks, Nevada.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. See, they'd already voted long before I could get all that out.
Thank you.
So, thank you guys. Thanks for the hard work, and let us know what we can do to help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on to 9.5. Consideration, discussion, and possible acceptance of the city's annual comprehensive financial report, or ACFR, for fiscal year 22-23, and the possible approval of the city's plans of corrective actions relating to the city's external auditor's conclusions and recommendations.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. I am Tiffany Pugh, the Compliance Accounting Manager for the record. And today is an exciting day as I'm here to present the fiscal year 23 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, otherwise known as the ACFR. This is essentially a compliance document that we are required to prepare in accordance with the accounting standards required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, the GASB. But it also serves as a tool for us to be transparent to all interested parties, as it includes our financial statements, many of the city's policies, notes, and statistics as well.
We're locked in.
Oh.
Door's open, we're good.
Okay. I was like, what's happening?
Fire's over there.
Why is no one running right now?
The fire marshal was having a heart attack.
The ACFR also represents the results of our annual audit as performed by Eide Bailey, who is our external auditors, which I'd like to thank for their collaboration during this process. As you can imagine, this document requires a significant amount of time and work to prepare, over 5 months to compile. So I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of our financial services staff, the budget and operations divisions, particularly Rick Parton, Derek Heron, Monica Nall, Wayne Weber, and Kayla Neff, who all play key roles in the audit's completion, and we're so lucky to have them. Getting into the results, I'm here to seek approval for two things. The first is to accept the ACFR, which will allow us to distribute it. And secondly, to approve the city's federal and state corrective action plans relating to our external auditors' conclusions and recommendations. Part of our distribution process is submitting the ACFR for consideration for the Government Finance Officers Association Award for Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And I also want to point out, included in our fiscal year 23 ACFR is the award we received for the prior fiscal year 22, which was our 42nd consecutive year receiving this award. And we believe that this year's ACFR will also qualify for the award. Moving on to the results of the audit, I'll keep my comments brief as they are summarized at the end of the ACFR as well as in the corrective action plans. But most importantly, the city received an unmodified audit opinion, otherwise known as a clean audit opinion, in the highest level that you can receive, which essentially means that the ACFR is materially correct and fairly presents the financial results in the position of the city. With that, we do have 4 findings. The first finding was related to the financial statements, which was for the opioid settlements that the city received, that we had failed to book a receivable. The next 2 findings related to the single audit of the city's federal reports. Both of these are compliance and reporting issues, but the first was related to the community development block grant, where a subreport was not properly reported to the federal funding accountability and transparency reporting system. This has been corrected, but the auditors did issue a qualified opinion on that specific reporting item. The second finding related to our federal awards was related to ARPA, where we had made an error on how we reported our current obligation line item, which will be corrected shortly as well. The last finding was a budget violation related to expenditures found in the general fund as well as in the grants and donation fund after June 30th, which is the deadline to augment the budget. This is a timing issue that often occurs and is hard to prevent. That concludes the findings. None of these findings will result in any further action, but we do have to submit our corrective action plans, which is essentially what we're going to do better next time to prevent these errors from happening. I also have copies of the ACFR available if anyone would like one, and it will be available on the city's website electronically if anyone would like to access it there. And in conclusion, I'm here to request approval to accept the ACFR, which will allow us to distribute it. And secondly, approve the city's federal and state corrective action plans. With that, I can answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Okay. Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion then. Mr. Dare.
Good job. I move to accept the city's annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year 2022 to 2023 and approve of the city's plan of corrective actions relating to the city's external auditors' conclusions and recommendations.
Mr. Anderson.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Tiffany. 9.6, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a reimbursement to the city of Reno for Sparks' share of a construction contract with TNT Industrial Contractors, Inc. for the Steamboat Reuse Meter Vault Addition project at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility in the amount not to exceed $386,740, with Sparks' share being $121,320.34. Casey.
All right, well, good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and members of council. For the record, Casey Menser, Treatment Plant Manager of the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility. So this item is looking to reimburse the City of Reno for a construction contract between them and TNT Industrial Contractors to install a new flow meter on our effluent reuse or our purple pipe system. So this additional flow meter will allow us to better account for all of the flow. Currently, we have one flow meter of everything that comes out of the plant and then individual end users. This one will enable us to completely totalize all of the City of Sparks flow versus all of the City of Reno flow. It'll also provide more redundancy within the system. That way, when we have flow meters or equipment that is malfunctioning, which can make it difficult for us to account for all of the flow and where it's going. This will help to correct that and make it so that we are able to be in compliance with our accounting and reporting of all of the water as it's distributed. This is part of the Tom Wharf approved 5-year CIP, and with that, I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
Questions from the council? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve a reimbursement to the city of Reno for Sparks' share of a construction project with TNT Industrial Contractors, Inc. for the Steamboat Reuse Meter Vault Addition project at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility in the amount not to exceed $386,740, with Sparks' share being $121,320.34.
Mr. Anderson.
I will second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Casey. 9.7, consideration, discussion, possible direction to the city manager to apply for the State of Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources grant to fund wildfire mitigation at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility in the amount of $225,000, with a required matching funds not to exceed $22,500, with the city of Sparks share being $8,268.75.
All right, well, good afternoon. It's me again, Casey Menser, Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility Plant Manager. I am here today seeking permission from you all to apply for a grant from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for fire mitigation. So what we see here is a vicinity map of the parcel that houses the treatment plant right here. What's outlined in orange is a rather large acreage just right across from Steamboat Creek from the treatment plant itself. It also does house our drying beds, which you see sort of in the middle on the eastern side of this. That current area is completely inundated with noxious weeds, white top in particular, and it could pose a wildlife or a wildfire hazard. Should it go up into flames, right? It would clearly prevent. It would clearly provide hazards to the facility, both in terms of the safety of our staff, the access in and out of the facility, as well as the power infrastructure that actually feeds the facility itself. It could pose potential risks as well to the environment with its proximity to both Steamboat Creek and the Truckee River. And so for the past few years, Tullamore staff have been discussing wildfire mitigation with the fire department. And we came across this grant. So working with our grants administrator, Mel Evans, Sparks Fire Department, and Tullamore staff have identified a potential solution to correcting this problem, and that would be with the implementation of grazing. So what we are looking to apply for is a grant to bring on about 100 to 200 Spanish goats onto this parcel to eat all of the weeds that are there. It is one of their favorite things to eat is this white top. And so over the span of about 180 days is what it's estimated to take, we would have goats on site, fenced in, to eliminate this wildfire risk. Apparently, it's my understanding that the seeds are deactivated during the digestion process, making them not viable once they are emitted from the goats. And so this grant, it's based on our understanding, talking with a few grazers, the total cost for covering this amount of acreage is approximately $225,000. There's a 10% match required, which would mean that Tullamore would be on the hook for about $22,500, and City of Sparks' share would be just under $8,300 of that. I just want to thank again Mel Evans, our grants administrator, and Captain Matt Caldwell, who's been working to look for solutions for this. So with that, I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
This is clever. Yeah. Very clever. Where do you go to Google rent a goat?
Right.
Questions, Ms. Bybee.
I love the goats. I've seen them for years. When you go to California, you'll go on, and of course here we've got cheatgrass. California in the summer, of course, everything's brown, and there's so much, the wildfire risk is so high. And I've seen the goats. In fact, some right above my brother's house. The goats are coming down and getting close to. He was going to let them in his yard, but he didn't. But really, just it's such a great solution to use the goats, and I'm really glad that I would like to see them shoot, I'd like to see him, actually, we just cleaned up Prater and Vista, Mr. Martini, so that corner of Prater and Vista that I've been complaining about. Just think how fast the goats could have gotten it. I mean, would have been great. So, yeah, but I guess they said that you can, if we look at other possible uses, that you put trackers and there's a geofencing. So the goats actually, if we looked at other areas of town that we wanted to look at that possibility with the geofencing, it might be something that we want to look at. But I love it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I just want to share.
Mr. Dare, go ahead.
I have heard that NV Energy's been using them quite a bit, actually. And so I do agree. I think it's something to continue to look at. And it'd be fun to come out and watch them work, but that's awesome.
We're happy to be a pilot project. So.
That's good.
Pretty cool. Anyone else? Mr. Abbott?
This is chiming in. Super cool. Good job, Casey, on this. And I want to give a shout out to Mel, over at, getting those grants, this is cool. Just, she's doing a great job over there. I'm sure she's got us some other grants, but it's kind of just one of the first ones I remember coming to us. So just give her a shout out, obviously to you and your team as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott?
I'll do all the sewer stuff today. I move to direct the city manager to apply for a State of Nevada Department of Conservation and Natural Resources grant to fund wildlife mitigation at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility in the amount of $225,000 with required matching funds not to exceed $22,500, with the city of Sparks' share being $8,268.75.
Mr. Dare?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, 9.8, first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of Bill Number 2816, an ordinance providing for the conducting and holding of a primary election in the city of Sparks on the 11th day of June 2024, and a general election in the city of Sparks on the 5th day of November 2024, identifying municipal offices seeking candidates, authorizing Washoe County to conduct the election, and setting the filing fees for declarations of candidacy. A public hearing will be held and Bill 2816 will be acted upon at the regular meeting of the Sparks City Council on Monday, January 8th, 2024 at 2 p.m. at the Sparks City Council Legislative Building.
Okay. 9.9, first reading. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of Bill Number 2817, an ordinance amending Title II of the Sparks Municipal Code, Section 2.05.020, duties of the city attorney, adopting Section 2.05.030, duties and powers of the city attorney, adopting Section 2.05.040, temporary inability and successor to city attorney. A public hearing will be held and Bill 2817 will be acted upon at the regular meeting of the Sparks City Council on Monday, January 8th, 2024 at 2 p.m. in the Sparks City Council Legislative Building.
Okay, Madam Clerk, 9.10, first reading.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of Bill Number 2818, an ordinance amending Title II of the Sparks Municipal Code, Section 2.25.150, by increasing the city manager's authority to enter into contracts from $50,000 to $100,000, amending Section 2.27.010 by clarifying which contracts may be signed by city staff, amending Section 2.27.030 by increasing the city manager's settlement authority from $25,000 to $100,000, and allowing the city manager and city attorney to accept offers of judgment in litigation matters and providing other matters properly related thereto. Public hearing will be held and Bill 2818 will be acted upon at the regular meeting of the Sparks City Council on Monday, January 8th, 2024 at 2 p.m. at the Sparks City Council Legislative Building. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Under 10, we have no items, so moving on to 11.1, public hearing. Madam Clerk, you want to read this one too?
I'd be happy to. This is public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 3435 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the comprehensive plan land use designation from intermediate density residential, IDR, to multifamily residential, MF14, for an 8.75 acre site located at 3755 Moore Park Court, Sparks, Nevada. APNs 026-02113, 20 and 61, which is generally located south and west of El Rancho Drive and south of Moore Park Court.
Thank you, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, Sienna Reed, Planning Manager. As just read by the clerk, this agenda item is a comprehensive plan amendment for a site located at 3755 Moore Park Court. On this slide, you can see the amendment site bound in red. It consists of 3 vacant parcels that together total 8.75 acres in size. And as you can see, they are located just south of El Rancho Drive and also west of El Rancho Drive as it curves around, and south of Moore Park Court, which runs east-west in this location. Today, the subject site is designated Intermediate Density Residential, or IDR. You can see that designation in the tan color. That designation supports detached single-family uses and has a density range between 6 and 10 dwelling units per acre. And importantly, that designation does not conform to the existing El Rancho Estates Design Standards Handbook that was adopted in 2006, because that handbook actually permits attached housing types, whereas the land use supports only detached housing types. Oops. As proposed, the comprehensive plan amendment request would change the land use designation on the site to MF14, multifamily residential at 14 dwelling units per acre. And you can see that in the light blue-green color. That proposed MF14 designation would be more compatible with the existing El Rancho Estates Design Standards Handbook because it supports a range of residential uses, not only detached, but also attached single-family residences, duplexes, triplexes, apartments, condominiums. And the MF14 designation specifies a density range between 10 and 14 dwelling units per acre. All right, so to wrap up the overview of the amendment, with this slide, we'll go ahead and shift gears into the 4 findings that council needs to consider this afternoon. The first finding is finding CP1. It requires the proposed land use change to conform with the land use and intensity designation in the regional plan. And per the regional plan, the site has a Tier 2 land designation. Properties in that designation are characterized by suburban development and are limited to a maximum of 30 dwelling units per acre. So with the proposed max of 14 dwelling units per acre, the comprehensive plan amendment does comply with the regional plan land use requirements. Next up, we have finding CP2, which requires that the amendment implement the goals and policies of our comprehensive plan. And here is proposed changing the land use designation to MF14 would support more of these missing middle housing products. Those are townhomes, duplexes, low density apartments. These housing types do offer alternatives to the detached single family home and encourage housing diversity that supports goal H2 as well as policy H2. In addition, the proposed amendment would increase allowable density on the site to, again, between 10 and 14 dwelling units per acre. That requested change does promote a more compact form of development, which advances goals MG6 as well as policy MG11. And in support of policy CF1, city services can be provided at acceptable service levels to the site once development occurs. And in addition, any future development that impacts steep slopes on the site does need to comply with our policy RC22, so it's consistent with the development constraints area in the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. We do have some steep slopes on this site. Moving on to finding CP3 that focuses on the compatibility of the proposed amendment with surrounding land uses. Looking to the west, the property located to the west of the site is designated high-density residential, and it's developed with a multifamily apartment complex. And then properties to the north are developed with single-family dwellings. They're designated IDR in the Sparks Comprehensive Plan or suburban residential in Washoe County's master plan, because we do have jurisdictions right adjacent to each other in this location. Properties to the south are designated IDR based on the Sparks Comprehensive Plan, also developed with single-family dwellings. And then the properties to the east are designated open space in our comprehensive plan and suburban residential in Washoe counties. These properties have an undeveloped open space area as well as an existing water tank. And so thinking about how all of these uses interact with each other, as proposed, the MF14 designation would serve as a transition between the lands to the west that have that higher density HDR designation and lands to the north and south that Sparks has designated IDR or Washoe County has designated suburban residential. And last up, finding CP4 requires public notice be given as required by code and state law. In terms of the statutorily required neighborhood meeting, that was conducted by the applicant on August 22nd, and there were no members of the public that chose to attend that meeting. In addition, public notice of this meeting was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal. That was on November 27th, and to date, staff has not received any phone calls or written correspondence related to this proposed amendment. In addition, the Planning Commission approved this proposed amendment on September 21st, and then it was found to conform with the regional plan on October 26th. So there is a suggested motion to certify the amendment on this slide as well as in your packet. This item does require a public hearing, and with that, I will wrap up and be available for any questions that you may have.
Okay, question from the council? I just have one quick question. Is that all Washoe County land, or is part of it in Sparks? Or is that just sphere of influence for us?
We have City of Sparks corporate boundaries adjacent to unincorporated Washoe County. So no sphere interaction in this area, just Sparks and unincorporated Washoe.
Okay. Thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, this is a public hearing, and anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. And questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move based on finding CP1 through CP4 as set forth in the staff report to adopt resolution number 3435 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from intermediate density rural IDR to multifamily residential MF14 for an 8.75 acre site located at 3755 Moore Park Court, APN 026-021-13, and parcels 20 and 61.
Okay, Ms. Bybee.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, 11.2, public hearing. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 3434 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the comprehensive plan land use designation from mixed use district mixed residential MUD-MR to mixed use district mixed use commercial MUD-MUC for a 5.77 acre site located at 1275 East Prater Way, Sparks, Nevada, APN 037-02038.
Okay. Sienna.
Again, thank you, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, Sienna Reed, Planning Manager. This is another comprehensive plan amendment request, this time as just read by the clerk for a site that's located at 1275 East Prater Way. Here on this slide, you can see the amendment site bound in red. It's a vacant parcel located at the southeast corner of Prater Way and Marina Gateway Drive. Notably, the Sparks Comprehensive Plan designates Prater Way as one of the city's primary investment corridors. That means Prater Way is a location where we're prioritizing not only public investment, but also private investment. In addition, the Sparks Comprehensive Plan designates a minor activity center at the intersection of Prater Way and Marina Gateway Drive. And our minor activity centers are designated locations where there's a concentration of activity that's desired to support a pedestrian-oriented pattern of development, as well as walkability and transit service. Today, you can see that the subject site is designated mixed-use district, mixed residential, or MUD-MR. That's the yellow with red hatching. This designation supports not only residential development, but also non-residential development, but it does have a slightly greater residential emphasis. So for example, townhomes, duplexes, condominiums are supported, as well as non-residential uses like offices, restaurants, and grocery stores. As proposed, the comprehensive plan amendment request before you today would change the land use designation on the subject site to mixed-use district, mixed-use commercial, or MUD-MUC. That's the designation shown in pink. As you can see on this slide, there are properties to the east of the site that are already designated MUD-MUC. And this designation supports a wider range of residential, commercial, lodging, and recreational uses. So in addition to townhomes and apartments and condominiums, there are non-residential uses like retail, event centers, medical offices, childcare facilities that are also supported. And then in conjunction with the city's zoning code standards, if there were ever a future proposal for an intense or auto-oriented use, that would require a conditional use permit or CUP. Examples of uses that would require a CUP include a hotel or motel with more than 20 units, auto and truck repair, a car wash, medical offices that have over 50,000 square feet, and then non-restricted gaming. And importantly, that CUP process is in place to ensure that impacts associated with the proposed use are evaluated in a public hearing and appropriately mitigated with conditions of approval. As with the last agenda item, there are 4 findings that the council needs to consider in review of this amendment this afternoon. So we'll start with finding CP1 again, which requires the proposed change conform with the land use and intensity designation in the regional plan. In the regional plan, this site is designated mixed-use core. That designation supports urban development, and it has the highest density and intensity requirements. And so as required by the regional plan, residential development has to meet a minimum residential density of 14 dwelling units per acre, and then non-residential development needs to meet a minimum intensity standard of 0.25 in terms of the floor area ratio. Our density standards for the proposed MUD-MUC land use designation exceed what's required by the regional plan. There's a minimum residential density requirement of 24 dwelling units per acre and a minimum floor area ratio requirement of 0.25. So we are in compliance with this particular finding. Finding CP2, moving on, requires that the comprehensive plan amendment implement the goals and policies of our comprehensive plan. And here as proposed, the MUD-MUC land use designation would allow for that broader range of non-residential uses to establish along the primary investment corridor on Prater Way and also within one of our minor activity centers. This supports a variety of goals, goals MG6, MG7, as well as policy MG11. Those encourage a compact and fiscally responsible growth pattern, as well as policies MG12 and C7 that promote infill in the city's mixed-use district. Also in support of policy CF1, city services can be provided at acceptable service levels with the development of the site. Taking a look here at finding CP3, this finding again focusing on compatibility with surrounding land uses. Looking at properties to the east, those are already designated MUD, MUC, and developed with commercial and office uses. Then we have properties to the south and west. Those are designated MUD, MR, and developed either with multifamily buildings or a gas station and convenience store. And then properties to the north are designated intermediate density residential and developed with single-family uses. The MUD-MUC land use designation actually already abuts these detached single-family uses on the east and south sides, and therefore redesignating the subject site to MUD-MUC would reflect that existing pattern of land use where the MUD-MUC designation is already adjacent to the IDR land use, and ultimately the Planning Commission found that that was compatible with surrounding land uses. In addition, not only does Prater Way act as a buffer between the site and single-family residential uses to the north. But again, as I was discussing, any intense or auto-oriented use, if it were proposed on the site, would be required to go through a conditional use permit process in the future. And lastly, finding CP4 requires public notice. In terms of the statutorily required neighborhood meeting, that was conducted by the applicant on August 17th. And there were 2 members of the public that showed up to that meeting. The discussion with them primarily focused on water rights, a preference for residential development as opposed to commercial, and a need for affordable senior housing. In addition, public notice of this meeting was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal. That was on November 27th. And to date, staff has not received any phone calls or written correspondence on this item. And the Planning Commission did approve the proposed amendment on September 21st. It was also found to conform with the regional plan on October 26th. And there is a suggested motion to certify the amendment on this slide as well as in your packet. This is also another public hearing, but I'll go ahead and wrap up my presentation and be available for questions.
Questions from the council? Ms. Bybee?
So Sienna, today, we're simply doing the comprehensive land use change. I know we've talked and received more information on what's actually planned for the site, but that's not something we're considering today. It's just the ability to have both of those designations.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I was hoping that we could listen to the applicant and get an idea of what they want to do with it. One of the things that we heard that was proposed is a hotel on a part of it, and that causes some concern being right there next to residential and such. So if we could listen to them as well.
Okay, let me ask if there's any more questions for Sienna before we bring the applicant up. No? Okay. Can we bring the applicant up, and please give us your name for the record.
I'll start. Is it possible to get the overhead? Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. Stacy Huggins with Wood Rogers for the record, representing the applicant in this comp plan amendment. Well, if we can get the majority of it, let's try it. That's perfect. I appreciate the opportunity. Sienna did a great job summarizing the comp plan request. And as you said, Councilwoman, we aren't talking about the uses today, but we're very excited about what this comp plan amendment can bring to the community and the city of Sparks specifically. So we know that by changing this designation to a commercial use, we are potentially enabling some more intense commercial uses on this site. You did mention the hotel. That is a component of this development on this project. As you see here, and this is a very conceptual design that we put together for this project early on, we would be looking to do senior affordable housing flanked around the north and the east side of this property. So all of these buildings along Prater and then buildings on the east side of this would be affordable senior housing. And then there is a hotel component in the lower southwest corner. The hotel is intended to help support the senior affordable housing component. So imagine if your family lived in this affordable housing or senior project and you came with a family of 4. You may not be able to live with them or stay with them in their living quarters, but you could stay in this hotel right across the parking lot and have very easy access to the hotel so that you could visit with your family while you're there very easily. And that's really the driver behind the hotel here. Not to dismiss, it will be an open to the public hotel. Anyone could stay there that wanted to. We know there's a demand for hotel rooms in Sparks when you have your special events. This will add to that opportunity for additional hotel rooms within the city of Sparks. I have sitting next to me the developer of the affordable housing project, and so I'd like to give him a chance to really talk about what they're building and what is driving their mission to develop this project, just so you have that background.
Yeah. Hi, I'm let's see, can you hear me okay?
Hi, I'm Drew Magalette. I'm the Director of Housing for the Call to Action Foundation. I am the grandson of Jay Call, who was the founder of the Flying J truck stops. And while we ultimately sold out of it earlier this year, we bought Maverick in 2012, and that's kind of been our main driver for our family as we've gone forward. We actually recently acquired the Midwestern chain Come and Go this year, which was very exciting. And so one of the things that we try to do at our company, FJ Management, and through our philanthropic entities like Call to Action, is we try and take care of our employees to the best of our ability. And one of the things that we noticed, especially during a period where we were trying to figure out what philanthropic efforts should we undertake that our employees want to see. Historically, our family had been very interested in educational efforts, but when we took a social determinants of health survey, we've realized that education and affordable housing were the two biggest concerns for a lot of our employees. And as such, we kind of shifted our focus in our philanthropic efforts to really focus on affordable housing and, not just affordable housing that, you might see flip to market in 5 years or whatever, but generally mixed income affordable housing that's here for the long run. We're not looking to sell. We're not looking to turn over or anything like that. We want this to be in the community, and we want this to serve not just our employees, but the communities that we work and are a part of every single day. In terms of the specific and so kind of that driving force has really compelled us to make sure that we keep these affordable for the long run. In terms of what that affordability looks like, generally speaking, we would be looking at it, like I said previously, a mixed income project. So that would look like, and by the way, this would be subject to restrictions by the IRS. So we would be required to comply with these income restrictions on at the very minimum, of any project that we were to own, operate, and develop. So this would be 40% at 60% of AMI, an additional 35% at 80% of area median income, and the remainder would be market rate. While it's nice sometimes to have everyone, a fully 60% project or a fully 80% project, those are definitely much more difficult to be financed just purely through the private market. And beyond that, we've found in our experience that it's generally better to have a mix of units and that it's more conducive and really creates a full community of a lot of income and stuff like that, which we're very excited about. I think that we're also very, in terms of why senior, I think this is a very, obviously, I think there's stories every day about families that are having a very hard time, especially in the interest rate environment and the various macroeconomic issues that we're seeing every day. But with the baby boom generation, we're seeing huge issues, and it's not as well reported because oftentimes, people are forced to leave because they're on fixed income and different things like that, and it's just not as common of a story. But it's an increasing crisis that we see in communities, not just in Sparks, in Washoe County, but throughout the country. And so we want to make sure that as we're serving our communities, we're not just focusing on the family component, which of course it makes up the vast majority of our employment base, but also, the entire community, including seniors. And so we think given the proximity to Marina Lake and given this opportunity to be able to, have a separate hotel component, which, as Stacy said, is a great complement to the senior affordable, to also be able to, due to the location, be able to have seniors, perhaps walk to Marina Lake and really have a wonderful place where they can be proud to live, work, and play, and not just, those who might be at 60% AMI, but those who at market rate, just a generally great place for seniors to be. So we really believe in terms of, kind of what we're expecting in terms of making sure that we're not just talk, we're actually putting action behind our words. I think that we've had internal discussions among our foundations like that, and we definitely expect and welcome deed restrictions. I think that, the extent of those, I think, will always depend in terms of kind of what we feel the economics of the project look like. And, we'll kind of, and I think it's an ongoing discussion. I think that's something we still need to work out through our modeling and stuff like that to determine. But that's not to say that it will be. We expect this to be, completely free and clear in 5 or 10 years. But, we do want to make sure that we've got clear expectations from both the city and from ourselves in terms of what that looks like. But needless to say, if we did for some reason, we would have to actually sell it out of the foundation before we could even go beyond that, and we have no intention of doing that. And honestly, we would want to make sure that we had the deed restrictions in order to make sure that if we were to sell it for some strange reason, which again, we don't plan to, we don't want to, that any future owner would be bound by those same restrictions, that it would remain affordable. So,
Thank you, Drew. So I'm being told by the lawyer, we're getting off subject a little bit because this is just a land use change, but I wanted to give you that opportunity. I appreciate you flying out here from Salt Lake City just for this meeting. Any other questions pertaining to the land use?
Yeah, so I would just caution the council to ask specifically about the land use, because that's the agenda item before us, please.
Okay, anybody? Now the lawyer spoke, so we're all nervous. Drew, I wanted to, Christopher, sorry. All right, Paul.
Actually, I just wanted to go back to Sienna, just to reiterate, it was approved by Sparks Planning Commission and Regional Planning, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. No other questions from the dais? All right, thank you, Drew. Appreciate you coming out.
thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the dais, and I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir. I move to approve based on findings CP1 through CP4 as set forth in the staff report to adopt resolution number 3434 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change a land use designation from mixed-use district, mixed-use residential, MUD-MR, to mixed-use district, mixed-use commercial, MUD-MUC, for a 5.77 acre site located at 1275 East Prater Way, APN 037-02038.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you again. All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any comments from the public?
We did not receive any additional public comment, Mr. Mayor.
And do we? Bill, hold on, let's get you a microphone.
All I'd like to do is like to get a copy of the, okay. No, I can't do anyone, I'll just yell it out.
We gotta get you on the record, Bill, if you're gonna make a public comment.
Thank you. Okay, what I would like is just a copy of the 5 months financial. Is there a way to get one of those? Oh, look at that.
I'll trade you, Bill.
Thank you.
You want to autograph it?
Would you like that autographed?
Anything else?
No, it's fine. Thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? Bring it back to the dais. Announce from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Mr. Manager?
No, sir.
Mr. Chief?
No, sir.
Neither one of you?
Neither one.
City council, anybody on the council have anything? This is our last meeting for the month, so enjoy your holidays, everyone. For the year? Oh, yeah. And then we will see you back on the 11th? 8th of January. Today's the 11th. All right. With that, we're up to my favorite subject. We're adjourned.
Don't we have redevelopment?
We have redevelopment. Wait, I'm not.
I know. We'll start the redevelopment agency meeting in a few minutes. Stand by. Microphone. I'd like to call to order meeting of the Sparks Redevelopment Agency for Monday, December 11th, 2023, with a roll call.
Chairperson Bybee?
Here.
Agency members Lawson?
Here.
Abbott?
Here.
Vanderwell?
Here.
Anderson?
Here.
Dare?
Here.
Chief Legal Officer Duncan? Acting Chief Administrative Officer Crawforth?
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item 3.1, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4.1, approval of the agenda. I have an approval of the agenda. Agency Member Vanderwall.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you. Agency Member Anderson.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 5.1, consideration, discussion, possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting for October 23rd, 2023. Do I have any corrections, additions, or a motion to approve? Agency Member Lawson?
Move to approve the minutes of October 23rd.
Okay. I have a motion. Agency Member Dare?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Please vote. Mr. Dare? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. A slow unanimous, but we got it. 6.1, consideration and possible acceptance of the report of the claims and bills approved for payment and appropriation transfers for the period of October 11th, 2023 through October 28th, 2023. November 28th, 2023. Looking for a motion to approve. Agency Member Vanderwell.
I move to accept the report of claims and bills and the appropriation transfers for the period of October 11th, 2023 through November 28th, 2023.
Thank you. Looking for a second. Agency Member Anderson.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Passes unanimously. 8.1, comments from the public. Any comments from the public now? Seeing none. Announcements from the agency and Chief Administrative Officer. Mr. Chief Manager. Anyone on the agency? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone.